bottom of Pennsylvania Avenue, all the way up to director of USA Strong, a big Trump supporter as well. Erin, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
A lot to talk about today. We wanted to have more to talk about, but these two stories, the challenge on Capitol Hill, the march in Washington, D.C. today, obviously taking up a lot of the show today. But, you know, we're kind of getting expectation management stuff from Jordan Sekelo. Sean Spicer also talking about the fact that at the end of the day, it comes down to numbers, and the Republicans who want to challenge these don't have the numbers to change anything. What do you see as the best possible outcome from what we're seeing happening on Capitol Hill right now?
You know, I feel that there's a lot of dejection from Republicans, and they feel that they weren't treated fairly, and this wasn't a free and fair election with transparency. And I feel there's a lot of anger. You know, I came into D.C. yesterday with a lot of people that support the president, and they were hopeful and optimistic and excited. And I think yesterday with Georgia, it really took the wind out of their sails. And we know Pence has been speaking, Vice President Pence, and he says he doesn't have the authority to really act. And the only thing I can glean from that is that he is putting it in the hands of our legislature, and hopefully they will make the decision that they feel is best for our country. But I do see that we are really at an impasse. To say that the Republican Party is divided is not wrong, but I think this division has existed since 2016 when President Trump came on the scene. He was not a GOP insider. He shook up the Republican Party. He was that Uber. He was that Airbnb. He was the disruptor. He was that voice of change in a broken system. But to say that we are the only ones that who are divided would not be accurate. The Democrat Party has the far left squad and the moderates who are also at an impasse here. I truly think our country is at an impasse. Do we let the Democrats take over and see open borders, a packed Supreme Court, and a bunch of new states? It looks like we're going in that direction, and that means that the future of our democracy and the future of America is really in question.
And that's the concern. You know, based on what happened yesterday in Georgia, Newsmax is projecting, not calling this officially because there are still votes that need to be counted, but Newsmax projecting that both Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock are going to win those races. So that's the question now, Allison. What happens next? How far do you think the left is going to push all this stuff they've been talking about?
I think Erin was absolutely right. They're going to push very far. The country
map, especially the Senate map for Republicans, it looks a little concerning at this point with Pennsylvania, Pat Toomey retiring, North Carolina, another seat coming open there, Arizona, Florida races. So a lot at stake here. Donald Trump, you know, talking about challenging, primarying people who don't stand up and join this challenge. Is that in the best interest of the Republican Party?
I think that the Republican Party is changing and will forever be changed by Donald Trump, and I think that is a good thing. He has created a populist movement, which has gotten people involved in politics as a hobby and a pastime and as a concern, which every American should be. He has created this populist movement, and I hope these people stay involved in politics. I'm not sure that they will because they feel so cheated and dejected, but you were speaking about those Senate seats. I believe the Republicans have 22 seats up in 2 years, whereas the Democrats only have 11.
Yeah.
I don't think 2 years looks good for us either.
Yeah.
I really don't.
You know, and what you were talking about, too, about what President Trump brings to the Republican Party and what they were missing is not just the fighting spirit and the willingness to not give up and see things through to the end, but he was also able to reform sort of the Reagan coalition of blue-collar and working-class, middle American, Democrats traditionally, but they saw the populism, the appeal to trying to bring back things like manufacturing, and there has not been a Republican candidate who's been able to do that since George W. Bush. Obviously, the game has changed, Erin. And Allison, if any new minority Republican members of Congress, they can lead this charge. Erin, Allison, great to see you both. We're going to hand it over to American Agenda. Thanks so much for spending the last 2 hours with us. Always a lot of fun bringing this changing breaking news. I'm John Bachman. For all of us here at John Bachman Now, again, we'll hand it off to American Agenda.